Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session on a Sunday evening. I know that I'm competing with dinner and Netflix, so I really appreciate. My name is Margarida Vizeu-Pinheiro. I recently completed my master's in marine biology at University College Cork after studying business administration and working 6 years as a brand manager at Unilever. It's been a big but very exciting transition to the marine science and research field. And I'm really happy to be here for Ecology Day and share with you the findings from the project that was carried with AIMM, the Portuguese NGO dedicated to marine environment research, education, and conservation. So today we'll be talking about what shapes the abundance of bottlenose dolphins in the Algarve. And for that, we need to take a step back and ask, why does it matter to actually know how many dolphins there are, where they're found? Dolphins, lovely, beautiful animals you see here on the screen, are cetaceans, the group that includes whales, dolphins, porpoises, and like us, they're mammals. They breathe air, keep a constant body temperature, and nurse their young. What makes them important is their role as top predators. By sitting at the top of the food chain, they help regulate the prey populations beneath them and keep the marine ecosystems in balance. When their numbers drop, it usually signals that something is wrong. Maybe their prey, like fish or squid, has declined. Maybe human activity like heavy vessel traffic or pollution is disturbing their habitat, or maybe they're being caught accidentally in fishing gear. The bottlenose dolphin, Tursiops truncatus, scientific name, that you see here on the top left, is one of these key ocean health barometer species. It's the second most frequently cited cetacean in the Algarve after the common dolphin. Yet, despite its importance, and despite being in global decline, we still know very little about how many individuals there are in the Algarve and how they use this area. And that's where our study with AIMM came in. We had 3 goals. First, to estimate their abundance and habitat use across 4 age groups: adults, juveniles, calves, and neonates. Neonates, which are newborn dolphins. Second, to understand how their occurrence relates to 2 key environmental factors: chlorophyll, which is a proxy for food availability, and sea surface temperature, which I'll refer to as SST moving forward. And then thirdly, based on the responses to the 2 first goals, generate then this baseline knowledge for future conservation in the region. So the study took place in the Algarve, stretching 170 kilometers from Cabo de São Vicente in the west to Vila Real de Santo António in the east, a region that is very rich in marine productivity due to upwelling and submarine canyons. And over 1,000 sightings were collected between 2015 and 2023. And these sightings were collected through 14 whale-watching boats and AIMM's own dedicated research vessel, which you can see here on the top right. Both recorded data on dolphin counts per age class, group size, and more, with 2 trained observers always being on board. To measure dolphins' abundance, we looked at how many dolphins were seen per hour of searching at sea each month. And when it comes to the environmental data, this was taken from the global 2 platforms you see here below, Copernicus and NASA. So of course, dolphins' numbers don't just change randomly, they respond to their environment. And to explore this, we actually initially tested 5 variables that are shown here on the left using ecological modeling. And sorry, no great mystery here, but the 2 that stood out as the strongest signals and that were kept in the final analysis are highlighted in blue, SST and chlorophyll. And why do these matter for dolphins? SST is simply the temperature of the ocean's surface. This matters because dolphin prey respond strongly to temperature. Sardines might thrive in cooler waters while anchovies are doing better in warmer ones. And when temperatures shift outside those ranges that they prefer, they move. And dolphins, which feed on them, follow. But actually, SST can also affect dolphins more directly by influencing their thermoregulation. This is their ability to maintain a stable body temperature. And I'll be coming back to this later. Second, chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is this green pigment in this very tiny algae called phytoplankton. And to give an idea, while the dolphins are sitting at the top of the marine food web, phytoplankton sits at its base. And high chlorophyll means high amount of plankton, so plankton is thriving, which attracts then fish, squid, and in turn, dolphins who eat those fish and squid. So in short, chlorophyll acts like an indicator, allows to measure how how prey abundant an area is. Here in the bottom is we can see the final statistical models that were used. These were generalized linear mixed models, GLMMs, which are particularly good in capturing non-linear ecological patterns, as they can handle patchy data with many sightings in some months, none in others, and also adjust for year-to-year and monthly seasonal shifts. So in over 4,000 hours at sea, approximately 14,000 dolphins were sighted, an average of 3.1 dolphins per hour, and groups of around 13 individuals. Looking at the seasonal patterns here in these 3 charts, you can see the dark gray bars, they're showing the dolphin abundance. The blue line represents the monthly SST, and the green line represents monthly chlorophyll averages. And you'll notice from the arrows that are there, and apologies, I tried to put a laser to show you in this presentation, but I wasn't able just now before the call. But if you look at the arrows, you'll notice dolphin abundance generally peaked when chlorophyll peaked and when SST either was at its lowest or starting to decline, especially in spring and autumn. On top of this, in looking at all of the age classes, neonates were the only one that showed a distinct pattern compared to the other age groups, as they were more frequently, someone just added something to my slide. They were more frequently sighted in the summer. On the bottom right, you can see the ranges that were observed of SST and chlorophyll. So SST ranged from approximately 14 to 23 degrees Celsius, while chlorophyll ranged from 0.27 to 2.26 milligrams per cubic meter. Overall, this variable exhibited much greater seasonal variation versus SST. Okay, so we got statistical significant relationships for all age groups except calves. The 2 most relevant ones are shown here for the oldest and for the youngest group. So adults on the left, neonates on the right. Adults, these plots, by the way, they illustrate the predicted effect of each variable on dolphin abundance, holding all other constant. The adults, here on the left, you see, they showed two nonlinear, they had two nonlinear patterns. There was a positive correlation with chlorophyll. Their abundance predicted to rise as log chlorophyll increased up to 0.7, level off, and then climb again at higher values above 1. They also experienced a negative correlation with SST. Their abundance predicted to be lower, to decrease at temperatures between 15 and 17 degrees Celsius, increase up to around 20 degrees, dip slightly near 21, and rise again at 22 degrees Celsius before beginning to decline then onwards. Neonates, by contrast to them, had a positive correlation with SST. Their abundance was predicted to rise sharply beyond 15 degrees Celsius, stabilize around 19, and remain steady at 22 degrees Celsius, which is exactly the point where adults are predicted to start declining. To visualize as well how dolphin distribution changed across space and time, we decided to map their monthly counts from 2023, the final and warmest year within the 9-year data set, onto gradients of the two variables. What you see here is a heat map of SST, and I'll play the video shortly. Cooler waters are shown in lighter yellow and progressively get warmer into red. And the colored circles that you're going to be seeing in a second when I play the video represent the dolphin sightings by age class. Red for adults, green for juveniles, blue for neonates. And I will play now this video. I hope you can see it. But in May, it's what we're showing now in the video, where the average was average SST was 18.5 degrees Celsius. Juveniles, we saw that juveniles were concentrated more in cooler Western waters, likely due to the Atlantic influence, while neonates concentrated more in warmer Eastern waters, likely due to Mediterranean influence. So we saw this interesting pattern emerge, hinting at distinct habitat use by neonates and juveniles, so showing opposite horizontal density gradients in the area. On this slide, you see a snapshot of all 2023 monthly SST heat maps, showing the individual's distribution across the wider Algarve area. And here is the one for adults mapped over chlorophyll gradients, as it was the only age class that showed a significant relationship with this variable. Unfortunately, due to interest of time, we won't be able to go through these maps in details, but happy to share, or if you have any questions on them in the end, or by email to come back to you. So when bringing the whole data set together and then drilling down into the age classes, we get a striking picture. The abundance rate that we recorded, combining all age classes, of 3.1 dolphins per hour, it was nearly 3 times higher than the 1.2 cetaceans per hour reported by Vieira et al. In 2009 for 5 species along Portugal's central coast. This considerable number for the species had already been confirmed by the Europe-wide 2023 scan survey, which estimated over 1,400 individuals in the Algarve. And when it comes to the differentiation of the age groups, so calves were present in more than 60% of decided groups, reinforcing once more the idea from previous studies in the area from Vieira and Castro et al. That the Algarve seems really to be the hotspot and a potential nursery area for this priority conservation species. All in all, the findings confirmed the strong influence of both SST and chlorophyll on bottlenose dolphins abundance in the Algarve. Part of this influence is indirect. As we saw earlier, adult numbers peaked as temperatures dropped and chlorophyll rose in the fall, which coincides with the second of the 2 yearly plankton blooms. There's always one in the spring and one in autumn. And as mentioned earlier, these blooms, these plankton boosts attract prey, make prey available, which has been widely recognized as the main driver of dolphins' abundance in occurrence. SST being able, as you see here on the right, to act more directly on the dolphins. And in the study, it was shown to have opposite effects amongst age groups. So for adults, when the water temperature rised and moved beyond their thermonatural zone, which is basically the range within which they can maintain their core body temperature with minimal energy expenditure, their presence became more limited. Neonates, by contrast, they're smaller, they have thinner blubber, and have a higher surface to volume ratio. So they lose heat much more quickly. For them, warmer waters can act as a thermal cushion, let's say, helping them conserve energy. And this is why it's likely explaining why their numbers peaked in summer and also aligning with the species' global seasonal birth pulses. To conclude, this study provides baseline insights into the environmental drivers of bottlenose dolphins in the Algarve. Future research using systematic standardized survey methods to estimate dolphin numbers per square kilometer can further enhance the resolution, helping us build spatiotemporal maps to predict population hotspots and overlaps with threats, bycatch risk, which is sadly increasing locally in the Algarve with bottom set nets. And ultimately, all in all, helping to inform real-time conservation measures tailored to each age group to protect what appears to be critical hotspot and nursery ground for bottlenose dolphins in Portugal. Before moving on to questions, I want to give a big thank you to AIMM and UCC for making this project possible, and of course to SPECO, the Portuguese Ecology Society, for giving the opportunity to share these insights with you today for Ecology Day. And all right, that's it from me. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourselves or to drop them in the Zoom chat. This session was recorded and will be uploaded to AIMM's YouTube channel. We'll also be sharing the link so you can rewatch it or pass to anyone who couldn't join. On this slide as well, you can scan the QR code, and by doing so, you can access the poster of this project, which was part of the this year's annual European Cetacean Society conference. in Açores and is available on AIMM's page. And of course, if you'd like any further details on the sightings or other aspects of the work, just feel free to reach out. I also popped my email below on the bottom. Yeah, we'd be happy to share any further information. Okay, I'm looking at the questions. The variables like upwelling, oxygen salinity, how these influence. Okay. And let me put back that slide. The first three. So basically, yes, these three other variables that are not highlighted in blue were initially considered in the analysis. Why? The upwelling index is allows to measure how strongly cold, nutrient-rich waters are brought from the deep ocean to the surface. Deep waters can be very rich in nutrients because of sinking organic matter, like that plankton, plants, animals, fish waste, and that sinks and accumulates over time. When winds push surface waters away, these deeper waters rise, bringing the nutrients back up, fertilizing the ocean and creating these feeding opportunities for dolphins. So it is an index that normally is used in this analysis because it can influence the abundance of dolphins. When it comes to oxygen, dolphins have improved. They have more improved prey finding abilities in well oxygenated waters, coupled with medium concentrations of chlorophyll, and human activities near the shore that lead to runoffs can lower those oxygen levels, potentially affecting their local habitat use and abundance. Salinity. So a few studies, like one that was done in East Estuary in South Louisiana, showed that salinity, when they drop to very low levels, can truly affect the dolphins. They prefer, in the study, they preferred above waters with above 11 parts per thousand and avoided waters below 5 parts per thousand. The thing is, in the Algarve, salinity is much higher, it's 35 to 36 ppt, and quite stable over time. So it's not a limiting factor here, unlike in estuary systems, which, for who doesn't know, is places where rivers meet the sea, and salinity there changes a lot with tides, rainfall, river flow. But yeah, in the end, we ran the models with all 5 variables, but the 3 above were removed because they didn't add explanatory power or were highly correlated with one or another, like oxygen with SST. How do you define the different dolphin age groups? Yes, good question. So adults were defined as individuals measuring between 180 and 220 centimeters in length, appearing fully grown and physically mature. Calves were defined as dolphins that were traveling alongside an adult, measuring about half of their length. Neonates were defined as dolphins of similar size or smaller size than calves, but with fetal folds and traveling along an adult. And fetal folds are like crease marks, pale stripes you see on the newborn's skin. They're formed when the calf is curled up when the neonate is curled up in the mom's womb, and they fade after a few weeks. Juveniles, they were defined as immature individuals, larger than calves, but not yet fully grown. What are the main threats that bottlenose dolphin face in the Algarve? So, thanks for that question, Francisco. Bottlenose dolphins face several threats. They're vulnerable to pollution, especially POPs, persistent organic pollutants, which are basically man-made chemicals that don't break down easily. These include things like old industrial compounds that were once used in plastic, or pesticides that are from farming and that wash into the rivers and eventually reach the sea. Over time, these chemicals build up in dolphins' bodies and affect their health, their reproduction. But the dolphins are also disturbed in the Algarve by in the world, by underwater noise, collisions with boats, and in the Algarve, whale watching activities are becoming increasingly intense. And the biggest threat in the Algarve, but worldwide as well, is bycatch, which is basically dolphins being accidentally caught in fishing gear meant for other species. In the Algarve in particular, a lot of bycatch happens with the species with bottom set nets, which are fishing nets anchored to the seafloor to catch demersal fish. So fish that are living or feeding close to the seabed, like sole or bream. These are particularly problematic because dolphins go there they understand that fish, those nets attract fish. So they go there to take the fish from the nets, which, yes, makes feeding easier for them, but also increases their risk of entanglement and death. Julia, which platforms did you use to collect data? So there were 14 whale watching boats that were collecting the data, and also AIMM's dedicated research vessel. Let me show you. I don't know if you can see here on the right. So platforms of opportunity, and then a dedicated research vessel as well. Dore, how does the tourist dolphin watching boats influence their abundance? Well, that's the point. And it's one of the pressures that they're facing in the Algarve. Now I'm Tomas. Bottlenose dolphins are the second most sighted cetacean on the Algarve, beaten only by common dolphin. That's correct. If compared to 2009, Tursiops truncatus was 3 times more present. Do you think competition for food in territory will increase between both dolphin species? And did you take the presence of other top predators, such as the common dolphin and killer whales, into account when studying bottlenose population distribution? That's a really good point, and is something that can add richness to the study, to add the presence of the other predators. When it comes to the competition for food, bottlenose dolphins are opportunistic feeders. No, so they feed on the prey that is more abundantly available there. They don't have a specific fish of preference, while common dolphins do. They're more after sardines. So it's not been, at least I've not seen any studies that are discussing this competition in food between the two species, but it's definitely a good question. Do you believe in a tailored tourism platform? Yes, I do. I think it's possible to show to people the beauty of the of nature, of the fauna, of the flora, without disturbing the animals, keeping the distance, without creating underwater noise, without bothering them, and at the same time taking the data that is necessary for, in this case, for example, computing their abundance and knowing where they are located, so that we also know where we need to create the special areas of conservation to protect them. Okay. If you don't mind, what do you see happening in these populations in maybe in 10 years? I hope so. I'm sorry, this is my dog decided to make an appearance in this precise moment. I want to be optimistic And I want to believe in an approach like João Lopes was saying about a way of having tourism platforms that can also assist in scientific research that doesn't disturb them. But I don't know. I think they will be continuing to following their prey as the SST worms. So they will be moving direction in the Algarve, maybe choosing, cooler habitat in the Algarve that has cooler waters, like next to the Atlantic area. And so that's the one point. And the second point, yes, again, I want to be optimistic. I want to say that I believe the numbers will stay intact, but yes, I think there's going to be a shift of movement because of SST, and there might be a slight decline in numbers in case the numbers of dolphins being caught in the bottom set nets continue to increase, and in case the tourism vessels continue to be operating in high intensity, as they will, dolphins run from these boats. So I agree, Nadia. I agree completely. And also because there are already some rules and the distance amongst which the dolphin watching boats can be, and like speed at which they can be also in the area, but unfortunately there's no big reinforcement authority going there to verify it, No, all right. Thank you, everyone. If there are no more, there's one more question. Wait. No, you don't have to apologize. Will this study be done to other station species? There has already also a study been done for common dolphin, the most abundant species in the area. And these studies are available in the AIMM website page. So feel free to go there and access. But at least in this study of the bottlenose, I also wanted to see and do an overlap actually of their abundance and the bathymetry layers, and see how it's also coinciding with locations of submarine canyons, which are also known to further enhance productivity. I hope this answers the question. Vietnam subject, how often do you encounter orcas? This is a question to the AIMM team. I don't know if the AIMM team, Inês, do you know how often these orcas encounter happen?
I don't know, sorry.
We can get back on email maybe on this one.
Yeah. If I can, if you left me your email, I can let you know. But this year so far we had few sightings of orcas. Our team with our boat. Of course, they have been seen in Algarve a few times already.
Okay, so if there are no more questions, thank you once again for joining. I hope you enjoyed, and I wish you a very good evening